Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today on the Global Genes Live, a rare disease patient advocacy and summit. We are so excited for this upcoming session of storytelling that meets science. My name is Claudia Zylberberg. I'm a scientist and a founder of Akron Biotech, um, actually a biotech company that supports a lot of these gene therapies today, and author of a children's book, You're Full of Genes, that we're going to read today for you. Actually, being an author, believe it or not, was a big dream of mine. Leaving behind some knowledge and some of the scientific work that me or others are doing seems like a natural thing to me. It's about learning options and learning what other things are there that can make our lives better. Focusing on giving us the opportunity to be educated enough to make the right choices for us and for our loved ones. So actually, this is my legacy in some ways. I feel that educating the next generation or others, it's the big contribution that I can make besides my scientific knowledge and expertise. So here, actually, I wanted to say that we have great readers with me. But first, let me thank you, the sponsors, for making this session possible. The Gene Home that is built by Bluebird Bio. And actually, part of the donations of all this work that we are going to read to you today, this book, is going to Global Genes. All the proceeds for the sales of the book. So make sure that you can make your contribution. Even small can make a big difference. Um, and I now with me, I wanted to introduce uh, two of my book readers that will be joining me in this adventure. Actor Sam Humphrey, and here he is.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me read with you today. Like Claudia mentioned, I am actor Sam Humphrey from The Greatest Showman. If you've seen that movie, I am also an author as well. I have an autobiography that will be releasing next year. So yeah, back to you, Claudia.
Great. And also with us is Jessica Nickrand, Manager of Program at the Child Neurology Foundation. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, Claudia. Thanks so much for having me tonight. As Claudia said, I am a manager at the Child Neurology Foundation, which is a nonprofit that supports young people and their families through every stage of neurologic conditions. That said, more importantly, I have a lot of nieces and nephews and other special kids in my life. And in this new digital world, I've been reading a lot of books over Zoom to them. So I appreciate being here for the practice tonight. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you both. And actually, you can follow along the reading of this book on the website, youarefullofgenes.com. The full book is loaded for this event, so you can follow the book on the website along with a small game that we have for you in the next few pages. So everything that can be follow up on youarefullofgenes.com. And again, just to briefly repeat myself, this book is on sale and all the proceeds are going to this Global Gene Initiative. Let's get started. I just want to mention that besides being a scientist, a CEO, and a writer, I'm a mom of 4 children and a grandmother of 2 little girls. And to them, I dedicate this book and giving them the opportunity to read later on in life for their children and again, their children of their children, and make sure that generations to come learn about genes and what makes you into what is you today. Next. And here we are. Let's get started with the adventure of understanding how genes work in our bodies and makes our life today around us, not only ourselves, but plants, animals, all living things that have genes, how information goes from one generation to the next. Thank you.
Ooh, well, I guess it's over to me. So let's dive right in. You're full of genes. Holy moly! Did you know your body is made up of millions and millions and billions and billions and trillions of cells? That each one of these cells contains thousands and thousands of genes. Even your finger. Look at it. You can't see them because they're so small, but those genes are there. So, what are genes? Genes are what decide that you have fingers on your hands and not toes. Wouldn't that be funny if you had hands made of toes? Genes decide if you have brown eyes, blue eyes, or green eyes, or if you have brown hair or blonde hair or black hair. And they determine if you'll be short or tall. Genes decide everything about your body and how your parts do or do not work. Genes are passed down through families. Some families are made up of a mother and a father. Some are made up of a mother or a father. Some are made up of two mothers or two fathers. And some children are adopted or raised by other family members. Your genes sure do determine a lot, but your family, however it looks, is just as important in determining what makes you you. This story of a gene, this is the story of the gene and how it made you unique.
But before we meet that gene, let's look at you. On the next page, there are two spaces where you can place pictures of your parents or other family members. I've got my picture here. Put a picture of yourself in the space below those two, and you can see there's myself and my sister, my father, and my mother. Take a good look at the pictures, either mine or the ones that you've put in. Do you have the same kind of hair as your mother? Does your mouth look like your father's? What about your chin? Or the shape of your eyes? What else about you looks like your mother, like your father, like your grandmother, or like your uncle? Here's another game to find out more about you. On the next pages are some faces divided into 3 pieces each. If you cut along the lines and then fit the pieces from different faces together, can you create a face that looks similar to yours? Claudia, can you help us make a face that might look similar to some of our readers out there?
That would be amazing. Actually, as a matter of fact, if you look at the game online, you will see how many opportunities and possibilities exist. It can be red hair and brown eyes, and you can have a face that a little bit darker, a little bit lighter. You know, the uniqueness of each one of us is incredible, but the combinations are endless because we have different features, and even in our faces. So I strongly suggest you to look at this game and find out what looks like you. You have brown hair, green eyes, brown eyes, clear skin, darker skin. Just look into it. It's a fun game and an opportunity to learn how many possibilities of all the people that you have around you, how they look and how they can be in the future. If you married someone that has brown eyes, or if you married with someone that has green eyes, what the end game will be. It will be nice to guess, no? What do you think? So if we go to the pages and look at the different faces, you will see how many possibilities we have. Are we playing the game? Look at that. Brown eyes, curly hair, straight hair, blonde, brown. Wow, so many choices. The genes have a lot of work to do and be able to be the ones that are going to show in the front face of our features. So let's see if we can ask the audience. I don't know how many are there. If you can, we can pull how many people here has straight hair or curly hair. Just those 2 features. It would be nice to know from the audience that is joining us today, how many of you are curly hair or straight hair? And I will tell you why one is more prevalent than the other. Sometimes the genes indicate that you have straight hair, But you can go to the hairdresser and make it curly. And that is not your gene, that is the environment. You are picking and choosing how you're going to look with your hair or dyeing your hair. Are you dark? And you just go to the hairdresser and make it blonde. So those changes are different. Genes indicate your original color of hair or if it's curly or straight. But if you go to the hairdresser and you make a change, that is a phenotype, is called. Genes altogether define your genotype. But if you go and change with the environment and do something, that means that you are changing your genotype, and that's a phenotype. Phenotype has to do with the environment. Genotype is what you carry within you. I hope it is clear, and let's keep going.
Cool.
Do you have any idea of the poll? Sorry.
Sorry. Now that we had an awesome explanation from Claudia, let's get back into it. Now we have some more questions for you. Do your parents have the same color eyes? If they do they have the same color eyes as both of them? Do your parents have different colored eyes? If they do, what color eyes are yours? The same as your mother's or father's? Do you know that all the genes that decide the color of your eyes and everything else about you come from your mother and father? Please say hello to TTAGCAGTATAT. TTATACAGTATAT. And notice, you're right, that's a pretty funny name. And notice that there are only 4 letters in that name. T-A-C and T. Let's call him T-Tag for short. T-Tag lives in what we call a cell. It's gray and pinkish place, and it's all kind of slushy. T-Tag lives in a cell with thousands of other genes. Does that sound as if the cell is really big? Well, that cell is really tiny. It's so small that you can't even see it with your eyes. You need a microscope. That is what a cell looks like under a microscope. Do you know what a microscope is? It looks like a very, very strong magnifying glass. When you look through it, you can see the tiniest things. You should try it. If you take a strand of hair from your head and put it under the microscope, you'll see the funniest things. It's fascinating. Now that we have to find T-Tag, there he is. He's talking to his friends. What are they talking about? Just like you, they might be talking about a game to play, about something another friend did, or about what they're going to do when they grow up. And there's someone else there too. She's called an enzyme. A what? An enzyme. Say it a few times. It won't sound funny after a while, and you'll even find it easy to remember. Enzyme. Enzyme. Can you say it?
The enzyme is there with a big clipboard and a list of thousands and thousands of names. She sees T-Tag and says, "Hey you. Yes you, don't be shy. Please come here." "Me?" asks T-Tag. "Yes you," says the enzyme. "What's your name?" "TTAGCAGTATAT," he says, standing up straight and tall, starting to feel proud that he may be picked. "Okay, let me see my list," says the enzyme. "This is so confusing. There are so many of you, and all of your names are made up of just those 4 letters. Okay, here you are. What do you do?" "That's weird," T-Tag thinks. "Why doesn't she know what I do? Everyone else does. Maybe she's new here?" He answers in a deep, strong voice. "I give very nice, very curly hair." "Ah, yes," says the enzyme. "You are just the one I was looking for. I just passed a friend of yours, but he gives straight hair. He was just sitting quietly and said it was your turn to be picked. And he had the same name, except not in capital letters. His name was in lowercase letters. TTAGCAGTATAT. That's right, says T-Tag, starting to understand why the enzyme didn't know what she did. She had a list of thousands and thousands of names, some with capital letters and some with lowercase letters.
In fact, there is a gene with capital letters for every gene with lowercase letters. They make thousands and thousands of twin genes. Those twins are exactly the same, except that their names are spelled with capital or lowercase letters. Now the enzyme has to pick one gene out of each pair. And the only way she can tell which gene to pick is by its letters. That's a lot of work. The genes with capital letters are dominant, sort of bossy. They are the ones that decide what you will be like. The genes with lowercase letters are recessive, sort of shy and quiet, and they are the ones that don't get picked. That is easy to understand so far, isn't it? I think so. There are two genes for the color of your eyes, one from your mother and one from your father. The dominant bossy gene decides the color you will have. If your mother for blue eyes is recessive, your gene's father is brown eye and is dominant, you will have brown eyes. Simple, correct? No, it's not. This is going to get a little bit more complicated as we move along. You have parents who gave you all your genes, but your mother has parents who gave her their genes, and your father has parents that gave him their genes. Oh my God, so many genes flowing everywhere. Your mother has genes from her parents, from her grandparents, and from their grandparents, and the same father. That's a lot of genes. All of them don't get passed on, so you know. Otherwise, we will be so full of genes that you cannot even imagine. That's a lot of them. And because you only get two genes for each trait, but you can receive genes from way back in time. They were sitting in the shelves, like from a grandparent, and there is no reason for which type of gene gets passed on. It's all just chance, like a game of cards.
That's why you can look like your mother, or like your father, or like one of your grandfathers or grandmothers. It's possible that your grandmother's gene for eye color wasn't used by your mother, but that she carried it and passed it on to you, and that it became the dominant gene in you. That's actually what happened in my case. In that case, the color of your eyes would be different from both your mother's and your father's eyes. Did you understand all that? Good. Now here's another complicated thing. Sometimes you don't get a bossy gene and a shy gene for the same trait, like eye color. Instead, you get two shy genes. In that case, here's what can happen. Your mother and father both pass on to you the same gene for blue eyes. That gene is always a shy or recessive gene. Blue eyes always lose out to any other color. But if you have two genes for blue eyes, can you guess which color your eyes will be? That's right, blue. The same can happen with genes for other traits. For example, can you roll your tongue so that the two sides curl up like this? If you can't, you have two recessive genes.
I can't do it.
All this, well, you have two recessive
You do
genes
it,
then,
Sam?
Sam.
I can't do it.
All this gene business is even more complicated, but that's enough for now. Let's get back to that cell, where there are about thousands of genes that were chosen and the same number of genes that were not chosen. How do those chosen genes, like TTAGCAGTATAT, work to make you look like you?
That's another job for the enzyme. She cooks them. That's right, the enzyme works like a cook making food over a fire. No kidding. Do you know why, when we make food, we cook it? So that things stick together. Think about making an omelette. You put eggs and milk, a bit of salt, and maybe some cheese into a frying pan and mix it all around. But you can mix it and mix it and mix it, and it won't become an omelette because nothing will stick together. Not until you cook it. Then the eggs start to get harder and they stick together with the cheese, and you can eat it. In the same way, the enzyme cooks the genes until the cells has your genetic code or genome. Those are big words, but they mean something simple. Your genetic code is you. That teeny tiny cell contains all the information that makes you one of a kind. And unless you have an identical twin, there's no one else in the world with the exact same information as you. How does that one tiny cell become you? Easy. If you have that enzyme to help, as the enzyme cooks, she tells one cell when it's ready to split in half and become two cells. Those two cells then have the same genes in the same order with the same enzyme. Each cell's enzyme cooks their genes and then splits in half into 4 cells. Then those 4 cells split into 8 cells, and on until you finally have millions and millions and billions and billions and trillions and trillions of the same cell. And then you are born. That's me when I was born.
Lately, scientists have been busy trying to build a toolbox to help all of us to be stronger and healthier. A new enzyme was discovered a few years ago that can cut out unhealthy genes. It's called Cas9, or Cas for short. He can treat diseases by cutting out bad genes so scientists can put in good ones. This process is called gene editing, and we'll learn more about it next time once our friend Cas is done deleting those bad genes.
On the next page, there is a family tree, and you can put pictures of the oldest people in your family, like great-grandparents or grandparents, on the top. Put the next oldest on the lower branches until you get to you on the lowest branch. Do many of your family members look alike? Let's go over what we've learned so far. Genes come from your mother and father, one of each kind, but in capital letters and lowercase letters. The genes with capital letters are often the ones that decide how you will look. Enzymes help to put the genes together and sometimes cut them out. They also help cells multiply. There's so much more to know, but that is enough for today. Until next time, and as a special treat, I have. So this is what my mom looks like, and as you can see, and then if we swipe across, you'll see. So these are also my siblings. So as you can see with the genetic code, my mom has black hair, and so me and all my siblings also have black hair. So
That's great, Sam. Great. Well, everyone, I know that it's been a very heavy book in terms of information, so I hope you learned something new today. And actually, I would like to see if we can quiz the audience and say, what do you think a gene is? And I know that you have 3 choices there. If I can see what is a gene, and if you learn something new today, that will be wonderful and make our day. Remember that these genes is part of information that is like a code, but instead of words, it's just a few letters. And actually, these letters form in different sequence. They are ordered in different ways, and they can codify different characteristics and traits from you. The gene editing and actually experience nowadays in science is that we found that tools and new enzymes and new opportunities are out there to change some of these bad genes for new ones that are better and work better for us and makes our lives much easier. And for us to enjoy our families and our friends and all the things that we love to do. So definitely stay tuned, because gene editing is going to be one of the next generation's technologies that will help transform the healthcare and the opportunities that many of us may have to live better lives and and be able to enjoy the few beautiful things that we have with us today. I hope you enjoyed the reading. I want to actually thank you a few people. So let me thank Sam and Jessica to join me today. It was beautiful to have you with me. I have to actually acknowledge Margarita Cubino. She's an Argentinian artist that did all the artwork for this book, and she really enjoyed the genetic part of it. And I would like to also make sure that you guys know that this book proceeds are going to Global Genes, and it's very important because we all have cause and things that we are fighting for to make all our lives better. And the research that is behind all the sponsors that are here today, it's critical for this science to move forward. And so everybody can contribute a little bit. Besides that, thanking the time, and I hope you enjoy this reading. Join us tomorrow, Wednesday, September 23rd at 12 p.m. for more Global Genes Live, a rare patient advocacy and summit. And we hope that you enjoy this story time and have a great evening and sweet dreams. Good night.
Good night to all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.